10th of November, Rabbi Furst, Pierke Avos. Hanukkah.
And this is Rabbi Shlomo Furst here in Yeshiva Tamanavshi here in Zoom. We are now starting a new adventure in learning about Hanukkah. Did everyone get the email was sent, I think, last night?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, got
Yeah,
it.
we got it.
I'll put it on the screen as well, so we can all
Good.
take a look here and there, whatever is easy for everyone. One moment. Okay, fine. Let's go straight into this. Who would like to begin?
I would.
Okay, very good. You can
Very top of the page.
very top of the page, right?
Okay, let's see. So we have Sefer Avodrahem.
Yes, I think it's pronounced Avudram.
Avodram Anochi. Anocha.
Let's see. Hanukkah. The Sefer Avudram on Hanukkah.
Oh, Chanukah. Okay. Rabbi David ben Reb Yosef Abudraham, Spain, 13th century. Okay. Vikasav Baal Ha'atim. Lama Ein Osim.
The Balaitim. The Balaitim, there's a sefer written, and it was called Laitim, and it was written by Rabbi Yehuda ben Barzali. He lived in Barcelona between around the year 1200. Okay, so it's going back 900 years, right there, Barry?
Rabbi, pretty, give or take a week.
Right.
Okay. So he says, why don't we do Tish, I don't know, Tish. You may, why don't we do 9 days of Hanukkah?
Again, let's let the question sink in. He's asking a question. Why don't we do 9 days of Hanukkah? Okay, so
I don't really get the question. Why would we think we do 9 days? It's 8 days.
Hanukkah's 8 days, right?
No, because the Chutz La'aretz, they didn't get the message, so they would have to add a day to be sure that they were doing all 8 days, right? Just like Yontif. That's right. Isn't that the issue?
Right. That seems to be the issue. You keep 2 days Pesach, you keep 2 days Shavuos, you keep 2 days Sukkot, right? So Hanukkah should be also right up there with the 2 days, or with the 9 days, right? And in Chutz La'aretz, they keep Simchas Torah and Shmini Atzeres, right? They add an extra day.
Okay, so Misafek means because there's a doubt as to when Rosh Chodesh was?
Yeah, that's right.
Moshe Eino Osim V'chag Hasukos. Like we don't do on Sukkot. Tisha.
Sha'ano, that we do it on Sukkot.
Oh, this is not She'eno, this is Sha'anu?
Sha'anu, right?
Okay. So like we do on Sukkot, we have 9 days.
Right, because the time of the month of Sukkot comes out close to the time of Pesach. Also, Pesach is actually starting when Sukkot is already coming to an end, more or less. But yeah, go ahead. So we add on an extra day because of the suffix by Sukkot.
Okay. Tishi'i Pasek, Safek, Shemini. 9 is a doubt on 8.
Right. We do that. We do the 9th day because it's a suffix that maybe it's really the 8th day.
Wouldn't it usually be the first day that we would do twice?
Well, we also do the first day twice too, but the more pronounced addition is at the end because that's there's a certain finality to the holiday already, and now you're adding on an extra day to the holiday. Whereas the first day, it's not really, you're still in the midst of the holiday.
The teretz and the answer mipnei shechag hasukos, because sukkos mean haTorah is from the Torah, b'hamiro and Hazal and the sages were strict al safko concerning the doubt. The fee she'ein anu kov'in, because there is not for us kov'in. I don't know.
That kovim mean that we weren't we didn't have the fixed calendar at that time, right? We didn't have the fixed calendar at that time, right? So therefore, there was a necessity to be strict.
Excuse me, isn't it possible just to say simply that the Nes of Hanukkah was 8 days, and that's it? You can't. There's no point in adding an 8th day or a 9th. I mean, a 9th day or a 10th day, because it is 8 days. Period.
Well,
so how can you commemorate an 8-day miracle by doing 9 days?
To a certain extent, you're right. But we have to think about the Torah said that the Sukkot is going to be 7 days, right? The Torah said 7 days that's what the Torah said. That's what the Kodesh Baruch Hu said to Moshe. You're going to keep 7 days, and here we are keeping 8, right?
Yeah, I hear, yeah.
So
right.
But Barry, hold on to that thought. Hold on to that thought, because we're gonna see mention of this concept later on. We'll see. Hold on to the thought. Don't drop it yet.
Okay. So in other words, in any case, what we're saying now is that Sukkot Sukkot is in the Torah, and Chazal were strict because we didn't have a fixed calendar. Ata al pi haroya.
We don't convey. We don't set the months according to the sighting of the moon anymore.
So what does hareya mean?
Rhea means the sighting of the moon. Rhea from seeing.
The sighting of the moon. Okay, so now because we don't, this, because then it was because of the sighting of the moon. Aval, Chanochi, Chanukah, but on Hanukkah, Sheyehei Midvarehem, Haim Amru La'asos Shmona. But for Hanukkah, that it was from the rabbis, they said to do 8 days of Hanukkah. The Haim Amru Cheshbon Ha-Molados Ayin Kaf.
Adkan, end quote, end quote.
End quote. So, and they said to do 8 days for Hanukkah, and they said the calculation of the new moon. Who are we quoting here? When it says end quote, who are we quoting?
This is the Balaitim, okay? So the Balaitim asked the question, and he gave this answer. Now we have to go back over it to understand his teretz a little bit more clearly. So again, the question was, why don't we make Hanukkah 9 days, just like we see we make Sukkot 9 days? That this 9th day we keep as a suffix, that maybe the 9th day is really the 8th day. With Teretz, he gave an answer. Because the festival of Sukkot is a deraisa, it's from the Torah. And Chazal were more strict on the doubt as to maybe the 9th day is really the 8th day. So they kept the 9th day to be strict because of the suffix. The Fisha Ein Anu Kavin Ata Al Piria, because now we're not fixing we don't cover the holiday. We're not fixing the dates of the holiday according to the sighting of the moon. We have to understand why that is part of his answer, right?
Okay, so one is the eraser and one is not.
Basically,
Yeah. So okay.
it's a little bit different. There's another element that he's putting in here, meaning part of his answer is that by Sukkot, which is the Raisa, and we have a suffix, that maybe the 9th day is really the 8th day, so we have to keep an extra 9th day because of the doubt. We're keeping that because when we observe Sukkot, we're observing it because of a fixed calendar, and not because of the fixing of the dates of the holidays because of the sighting of the moon. Had we been observing Sukkot according to the sighting of the moon, we wouldn't have to keep a 9th day, because it would either be the 8th day, because we would know when the moon was brought into, the month was brought into, to its newness. And then we would just know which day to count.
Yeah, but Rebbe, that was the whole problem when we were using the moon, then we had to have witnesses come, and if they were late, and then there was all those complications that resulted in adding a day.
Right.
I mean, when we used the moon, it was more of a problem, more of a shiloh, no?
Not really. Because, again, from one perspective, you're right. Meaning, when the Beis Din here in Yerushalayim would declare the new month, so they made sure to send out shluchim messengers to inform everybody as to what day the month was made to be the new month. And from then they would know which days would be Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, right? Even on Kislev, they would send out messengers, right? To tell people when the month of Kislev was decided. And then they would know, right? We say that Hanukkah begins on Chav Hey, right?
Yeah.
Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that Hanukkah begins on the 25th. And everybody knows, like you said, Barry, a few minutes ago, it's 8 days. So when anybody can add 25 and 8 together, will know exactly when Hanukkah will come to an end. Right?
Yeah, right.
So there was no real suffix at the time when they were Mekadesh the Kodesh Al Piriya. There was really no suffix. However, we're going to get to this. However, there were certain places where the messengers wouldn't get to in time, right?
Yeah.
Even after 25 days?
Oh, so that's something unique about Hanukkah, right? Hanukkah, because it's in the very late end of the month, it would probably be almost impossible, right? Impossible that they wouldn't realize and know when the month was declared.
And also there were fires.
Originally there were fires, but then the reformers, the Baisusim, would interfere with that. They purposely, you know what happened there, right? You know the Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah. Originally, the Mishnah explains when they would declare the new month, they would go to the Beis Din would say Mekudesh, Mekudesh, in Yerushalayim, in Sanhedrin, in the Beis Hamikdash, and the word would go out, and it would have certain places, certain mountaintops here in Yerushalayim, where they would light fires and light torches, and they'd wave these torches, and they'd signal to the surrounding mountaintops. And there would be messengers on those mountaintops awaiting, and they'd be waiting for the signal to come. And then they would see the signal coming from Yerushalayim, from the mountaintops surrounding Yerushalayim. They would in turn signal to the further out reaching mountaintops, going further and further into Chutz La'aretz. And it would go from one mountaintop to the other mountaintop until the whole of the Golus would be, as the Mishnah says, would be lit with fires. And but then our enemies, the Baisusim, who wanted to interfere with the Torah way of law and order, so they interfered, and they would put false fires on the mountains on false days, and they therefore ruined the system. So once they ruined the system, then we had to send out messengers on horseback to send out the messengers. So there was, and they would have to reach, for most months, they would have to reach their destinations before the beginning of Pesach, 14 days into the month, or Sukkot, 14 days into the month. And there are certain places they wouldn't be able to get to necessarily. So therefore, in places in Chutz La'aretz, that was the, we'll see, that the second day Gullus was developed because of the lack of time, sufficient time for the messengers to reach their destinations in the farthest outposts of Jewish settlement in the Gullus. Oh, so that's how the second day Yom Tov arrived. But in general, as you were right, by the 25th of the month, right, in general, they should really be able to get to everywhere they had to get to. So we'll see more about this concept as we go along as well. Let's continue. So that was the Bala eating, right?
Right. Now we've got Rabbi Chaim Joseph David Azulai, the Chida.
Chida. He's known as the Chida.
Okay. Vida Dema She Kasvisi Bivrachi Yosef.
What Barki Yosef.
Barki Yosef. That's a book?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it is known that it is written in the Barki Yosef.
What I wrote, what Kasavti, what I wrote.
What I wrote in the Barki Yosef, the Sefer Ha'etim Tiratz Le Chanukah, that the book of the seasons,
right? Sefer eating. That was what we just quoted that above in the first paragraph, right?
Oh, we did?
Yeah, look at the first line.
Right. Baal Ha'etim. Okay.
Right.
Sefer Ha'etim. Tiratz Lechanukah. What's Tiratz?
He gave an answer.
Oh, a teretz. Answered for Hanukkah, Mishum Dehave de Rabbanan, because the rabbis Hayinu Lefi Misham.
Basically, the basic answer that the Sefer Eating gave, why Hanukkah we don't keep 9 days and we only keep 8 days, is basically Hanukkah is the Rabbanan. So you could apply, in a certain way of speaking, you can apply suffix the Rabbanan Lakula. Therefore, you don't have to be Machmer and keep an extra day by Hanukkah.
Okay. What is this Mem Shin?
Masha Kasim.
As it is stated, because of that which is stated in the pasuk.
But Orchis Chaim, that's another sefer.
The sefer is Ba'arachos.
Orchis Chaim. Orchis Chaim is a sefer.
Ba'arachos Chaim, that is stated in the that was written in the Orchas Chaim, Mishmo.
That's in the name of the Sefer Eating.
in the name of that which is written in Barke Yosef.
Right.
Vata Raisi Laharad Avod
Yeah, Abu
Right.
Drum. That's the Abu Drum. That's the Abu Drum.
Avodram. And now we see, what is this abbreviation? Lahared?
That's the Harav Adon. Harav Adon.
Rav Adon. Okay. Shikasav Divrei Sefer Ha-Atim. It is written in the words of the Sefer Ha-Atim, Tosafos, Kitzat Vizal, a little bit of Tosfos.
The Tosaf with a little bit of an addition. Right? He added a little bit to it.
He added a little bit. And our sages, Kasav wrote Baal Ha'atim in the book Baal Ha'atim, Lama Ein Osim Tet. Why don't we do 9? Yemei Chanukah, days of Chanukah, Misafek, because of a doubt. Kemo She'ano Ta'anu Osim B'chag HaSukkah, like we do for Sukkot. Het Yamim, 9 days. Het Safek, 9 for the doubt. Shemini, for the doubt on the 8th. V'tirats, Mipnei, period. V'teretz, and the answer Mipnei Shechag Chos, because the holiday of Sukkot mean HaTorah is from the Torah, V'Hamiro, and the Hazal, our sages are strict. Al Sfeko, concerning the doubt. Lefi she'ein anu kov'im, because we don't have a fixed calendar. Ata al pi hareya, now because of the sightings of the moon, aval, but Hanukkah shehaya midrabana midivar ahem haim amru la'asos chet. But the Hanukkah that it is, what is this word? Midivarehem?
That meaning means it's like the Rabbanan. Midivrei means it's midirabbanan.
Okay. From the rabbis, they say to do 8 you may days of Hanukkah. The Haim Amru, and they say Cheshbon Hamolados, and they give the calculation of the months.
Right. So basically he's really adding what the Yosef Oimes, what he does is mentioning here is that basically the Sefer Itim simply said it was Midirabanan. So therefore, as you can understand it, simply a suffix Dirabanan Lakula. So therefore, you have a suffix, the 9th day is maybe the 8th day. So we say suffix Dirabanan Lakula, and therefore just leave it at that and just keep 8 days without adding an extra day. In contrast, when we say it's the 9th day of Sukkot, we keep because I'm suffix, that's because it's the rice of suffix, the rice of the Chumrah. That's basically what the Sefer Itim answered his own question with, why we don't keep 9 days of Hanukkah. Now,
Well,
the
it seems
Sefer
like he
Yosef
gave
Chaim
two
is
reasons,
saying-
Rabbi.
Well, again, the Abu Drum gave 2 reasons, right? That's what he's saying here. What the Yosef, what the Hidor and the Oimitz, Yosef Oimitz is saying is the Hidor added in another reason. He went beyond simply just saying it's a suffix to Rabbanan Lakula, right?
Yeah.
That's what the Hidor is pointing out to us, right? And because he added an extra thing, he added not simply that it's a suffix to Rabbanan Lakula. He said that we don't by Hanukkah, right? Hem Amru Ches Yomim and Hem Amru the Cheshbon Molodos, meaning they Chazal told us to keep 8 days Hanukkah, and he also told us when Hanukkah was going to fall out. Exactly, meaning they determined the calendar, and they determined, so therefore there's absolutely no need to be suffix, because everything is, we're going according to their word from start to finish. Keslev begins on this day of the week, whether it's going to be 1 day Rosh Chodesh or 2 days Rosh Chodesh, that's been fixed now for the last 2,000 plus years. And Hanukkah, they told us to keep 8 days. So you know what day it begins on? The 25th of Kislev. You know the day it ends on. So that was in addition to the Sefer Itim, okay?
But that's
So-
only because we have this perpetual calendar.
Yes.
I mean, that's the whole key. Without that,
Well, I mean, really, why isn't it enough simply to say subject to Rabbanan Lakula? Just say that.
because if it's a suffix, then you have to add the day. That's the problem with Yontif. Not that
No,
it's
it's a subject to rice.
Yeah,
The subject
yeah.
to rice of the Churma is subject to Rabbanan Lakula.
Yeah, right, I hear, yeah.
Let's say a person wakes up on the 8th day of Hanukkah, right?
Mhm.
And he wakes up and he doesn't know if he lit that night, the night before. He doesn't know. He can't remember. He's in doubt. Does he have to light that afternoon again because he's in Suffolk? No, he's Suffolk the Rabbanan the Kula.
Well, he ought to just go look at his menorah and see if see if there's any residue left over
Yeah, well, okay.
in that play, right?
He's very Masuda person. He always cleans up. He always cleans up the night before.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Let's see the next paragraph. Let's see what the Hidor has to tell us about what is, because he's mentioning now that the Avutram added on to the words of the Sefer Itim, and we're going to see what that consequence. If you see we'll pick up where the little red dot is there on your screen. V'signon zeh.
With a signon zeh, kasha, de beves shnei.
The Babayas Sheni in the second base of Mikdash.
Oh, what is signon?
With this approach,
With this approach,
it's difficult. Caution.
it's difficult in the Beis Hamikdash, v'chol zman, that all the time, ha-tinaim, v'rov ha-tinaim, hayu mikadeshin, al pi ha-ra'eh ha-uvaosan hayamim. Okay, so what does this mean? It's difficult for in the Beis Hamikdash because all the time
That's the Tanoim. The Kol Zman Tanoim, the whole era of the Tanoim.
and the majority of the Tanaim, they would sanctify in accordance with the citing those days,
Right.
lo bikayinan bikavuah,
The Yarcha.
the Yarcha. They in those days they had not fixed the calendar.
Right.
The Tanan,
So he's basically saying, number one, that the additional factor that the Abadrudram added into the words of the Galaitim are difficult because the whole time of the Bayis Sheni, and even after the destruction of the Bayis Sheni, the time of the Tanoim, they were in fact Mekadesh the month according to the sighting of the moon, Alpiria. And not only that, in those days they were not Bekim in the fixing of the calendar.
They were not.
They were not Bekim in the fixed. They didn't have a fixed calendar. At that point, there was no fixed calendar.
because they were using the sightings,
Yeah. Okay.
right?
Right.
Hashluchim yotzim al kaslo
Kislev.
al kislev, and the messengers would go out in the month of Kislev.
Right. They did send messengers out on the month of Kislev. That was the time. That's the Mishnah. The Mishnah Rosh Hashanah says that the months on Kislev, they would send messengers out because of the notification of people that when Hanukkah was going to be.
Mipnei Chanukah, because of Hanukkah.
Right.
Okay, but I have a question on that. Even if the messenger got there by the 25th of Kislev, so that there's no doubt about the start of Hanukkah, the end of Hanukkah is in the next month.
Right.
And it's only a couple of days after the new month begins. And so there's no time for the notification and to know when is the last day of Hanukkah.
Right. That would, in general, that might be a difficulty, but it's similar to Shavuos, that the Torah doesn't say anywhere what the date of Shavuos should be. It says Shavuos is going to be 50 days after Pesach. So all you have to do is count 50 days and you know when Shavuos is going to be. It'll be irregardless as to whether, and you crossed over to Rosh Chodeshes. You cross over the Rosh Chodesh of Ir, and you cross over the Rosh Chodesh of Sivan, between the 50 days of Pesach and Shavuos. But that's inconsequential, because you know when Pesach is definitively, and all you have to do now is count 50 days from Pesach onward, and that'll get you to your day of Shavuos. Whatever day of the month it happens to turn out on, that's the inconsequential. Likewise with Hanukkah, you start, if you know when the 25th is, now you just have to light 8 times the menorah consecutively, and then when you've done your 8 days lighting, you've done your 8 days lighting, and that's it, regardless of when Rosh Chodesh would come out.
So in other words, Shavuos could be on any one of 3 days.
Conceivably, correct, right?
Interesting. I never heard that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would only be when the Mekadosh al Piduriya. That would only be if they did it according to the sighting of the moon. When
Right.
we have a fixed calendar, so it's irregardless of the time of because the Rosh Chodesh is already fixed for us.
Right. V'hayesh lomar, there is to say.
Right. According to this, if we go back to the time of the Tanoim, the time of the Beis Hamikdash Sheni, when it was still functioning, and they would Mekadesh the month according to Riyah, and they would send the Shluchim out because of Hanukkah in the month of Kislev. Havayesh Lomer, you should say too.
You should say l'takain, to set 9 you made days misafek from a doubt. So yeah, so at that time it should be 9 days for a doubt, because you're not sure when the first day of Hanukkah is.
Right.
Makom shalo yado, in a place where you don't know, mikadsho mikadosh ha chadash. You don't know when the sanctification happened.
Meaning if those places where they would not get the messengers, they would in fact have to keep the 9 days, the 9th day, because of a suffix in a place they didn't get word from the messengers. Because in fact they wouldn't know when the month was in fact inaugurated.
V'chein kasha, and therefore it's difficult.
The Masha Kusiv, that what was
wrote in the Avodaham.
Right. Therefore, it was kasha. It's difficult to what was written by the Avudram.
Purim, about Purim.
Purim, right? Vizel Lashana, right?
That Lashano, and this is the what the language Kasav that was written Baal Hamishras.
Mishmeres, the Baal, this is another sefer. The Baal Mishmeres Hamodim.
And it's written in the Baal Mishmeres Hamoados, Mipnei Ma, because of what Ein Anu Korin, because of the fact that we don't have a fixed calendar. Shnei Yamim, 2 days, Megillah Misafek. We have 2 days of the Megillah due to a suffix.
Right. The Sefer Mishperes Moedos was asking, for what reason, why don't we read the Megillah 2 days? Because of a suffix.
Aha. Okay. And that's on the 15th of the month.
Right.
Interesting. Okay.
Isn't it possible also to say that even when we were using the moon and not a perpetual calendar, once we got through the start of the month and the yontif or whatever, after that everybody agreed which day it was. There was no shaila what day of the month it was. So in other words, right? In other words, Rosh Chodesh can be on the last day of the month or the first day of the month. So, but once we know what the first of the month, once everybody agrees what the first day of the month is, then you just count to 25. Zehu.
But that's if they would know when it occurred. But if they're waiting for the message to come, right?
Yeah, but
so
no, I'm
they
saying
they don't have any knowledge of what.
No, I'm saying by the 25th of the month of Kislev, that's all been ironed out.
Well,
right? In
no,
other words,
let's say there was a place that did that. In places they didn't. Again, they sent the messengers out on Kislev to tell people when Hanukkah would be, but in circumstances and places where it would not be possible, you're not going to get to Bombay. Bombay, they're not going to get to in 25 days. It's just too fast. You just can't get there in 25 days.
So they do the best they can. In other words, but even in Bombay, they already have gotten Rosh Chodesh straightened out. Now, what I don't understand is why do we have to rush to tell when the 25th of Kislev is when we've already worked very hard to say when the 1st of Kislev is?
No, because they really didn't get Rosh Chodesh straightened out. They don't know what happened in Yerushalayim, right? Whether it was the first day or the second, they don't know what Yerushalayim did with the Rosh Chodesh of the month. There, they're still sitting there in Bombay after Chakras. They're waiting. They've got their tea ready, waiting for the messengers to get off their panting camels and horses and to tell them what happened in Yerushalayim, 24 days ago. And they're not coming. It's like, in those days, it's not, you didn't have the easy pass. You just put it on your windshield of the car and you go through the toll booths. You had to pay toll booths along the way,
Right.
And sometimes the roads were muddy, right? And the camels couldn't run so fast in muddy roads, and the horses certainly couldn't run fast in muddy roads. So they got stuck in Calcutta. They couldn't make it to Bombay.
Calcutta is not such a bad place, actually, to be stuck in. But you can read chapter 6 of my book; you'll find out.
Okay, very good. You have a hexer on the restaurant there, Barry? Okay. Anyway, well, let's stop here because we've got a few minutes. It's 5 to 10. We'll have to stop here, but you get the picture of what's going on here a little bit.
Yeah, it's complicated. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit complicated. We'll see more tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem.
Okay. All right. So we're taking a break.
Yeah. Take a break.
Okay.
We'll continue with the Mishnah Berurah in the Hilchos Hanukkah. Roy, have a good afternoon, and we'll see everyone shortly. Mitzvah Shem.
Roy, how you feeling?
Baruch Hashem, better, thank you. Had 2 in one day, two migraines, one after the other, one day and then